information. So up next, y'all, let's give it up for Dr. Moore.
We've had a whole lot discussed thus far. Yeah. With the family, I like to say Dr. Arisha today, Alwadola, the whole name. All right. Yeah. I just call you Dr. Arisha sometimes, but Dr. Arisha Alwadola, thank you for putting on this conference 10 times. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to bring many people from different walks of life, age groups, to learn something different about their history, their culture, in an African-centered way. So we've had an opportunity for your family to be recognized and honored from a PWI up north, or Yale University, and they did a great job of honoring your ancestor, which is still with us. We had a representative from Yale come here and represent in a real distinguished way. He's not even a family member, but he felt like that was family. Yeah. In an environment where he was not really a part of that, but he made it a part of it. He made himself in it, and he then brought it back here to Seattle, so we appreciate you, Brother Noah. There's another Brother Noah that has hooked me up with all these contraptions, so you can hear me, so I can speak and talk, and I imagine Brother Noah's going to also push my PowerPoints, because I have no buttons up here to push unless this works. This works? Okay. Okay. So we have Brother Hopkins give you a breakdown of the religious perspective, how it's being dealt with internationally. You have Brother Darif break down Brother Fanan and the whole spiritual way of looking at how we need to be connected. And many people who have come before us, we're not reading their work. They've done the work. Yeah. So Brother Darif's just trying to explain to us that how we now put that Brother Fanan's work into our lives today. Yeah. So you may then ask, okay, then we had some movement going on in the system. Okay, so what does the movement got to do with this? Because the Spirit's moving through us. Okay. What is the Spirit? Our ancestors. Okay. So then where do I come into play? The ancestors are in our molecules. Ancestors are in us, not just in a void. They're in us internally. So we're going to talk about the Grand Omnipotent Design in you today. So you say, I can push this button, make something. Oh, so for years I've been talking about the brain, to me as the most elaborately constructed entity in the universe. So here I am with my colleagues years ago in a grant program discussing the brain. So I've always talked about the brain. So from religion up there, social work, criminal justice, so I was the psychology person bringing this into play. We know that the universe is 13 billion years old. In the middle of that, 5 million or so, you had this earth that was kind of created in collisions and things happening, but the universe was started with a big bang, so they said. You see that on the left, on your left side there, this little lightning rod. I have my little pointer. I don't know if this pointer works. Yeah, there you go. So there you got the big bang, and everything extends from there. So when we ask the question about how does this relate to us, because we really are the universe. Mm-hmm. So that's the universe on the grand scheme of things, but the universe is also what within you. Mm-hmm. So you see the universe, you see what is your place in that. Essentially, when the egg and sperm come together during reproduction, is a big bang. That same big bang we have been told in science that has happened to make this universe is the same big bang that made you. So when the sperm and egg come together, there's a lightning bolt that happens right around the egg. They say with new research that this is In 2014, zinc was the element that contributed to the spark right around the egg. It says in 2016, these images were revealed, and you see the images right there in that screen there, right around when the sperm hits that egg, just like the Big Bang that happened. So I said in 1995 in the Science of Melanin, in the midst of this embryological darkness, an explosion, Big Bang, will occur that transforms the tiny mass of cells into a complex human being, similar to a miniature solar system. So we've discussed this already. Science is now showing this is really happening.
Right.
So the fertilization fireworks, there is clear evidence that some eggs shine brighter than others. Talking about that melanin now, right?
Right.
Billions of zinc atoms explode, and this shine can last for 2 hours as it's developing within the womb. The womb of darkness here, the womb of darkness in that universe. As above, so below. The more zinc, the more reliable the egg. And people talk about with reproduction, folate, folic acid. There are a lot of important elements that need to be there for the baby to develop properly. If they're absent, problems. Guess what? The melanin is absent, problems. Calcium triggers the event. Melanin is the biopolymer that can organize these events. It's like a self-organizing molecule to ensure that everything's working right and orderly. The absence of melanin in the embryonic development will lead to birth defects like spinal bifida, like neural tube defects, not going to grow properly. So from the very beginnings of development, without that melanin there, the organism's not going to develop. So where did the ancestors come into play here? Black is the absorption of all light. So melanin in the human body functions like a black hole that is in the universe. So if you heard about black holes in the universe, they can suck energy. They say you can go to another dimension. If you are sitting there right now and you can look at me and stare at me with the bright lights on, and then close your eyes and look at the aura around me. You see that extension around me? It's like an after image in your view. That's the energy that's around you, and all your ancestors are energy, guiding you in the right way. It's around us all the time, we just don't pay attention to it. So it's right in front of us, we just don't see it. So I got the brain right there in the universe, because again, the brain itself, as those cells are being organized and as neurons are being created and connections are being made, it's developing you to be an individual universe. You are a universe within yourself. Each one of you is a different universe. Because you've been impacted by different things, but the connection to the entire universe is where we need to be as a people in order to fight and win. Your ancestors that are within you, each person has their own connection with their biology, that ancestral group. But in general, all humanity is connected because it all came from that first Big Bang. So if you look on your right side there, it says right there in the middle, those are neurons. They look healthy. But guess what? Some of them can start to die off as you get older and your brain's not working right anymore and you start to have dementia problems. Stars die off in the universe. No longer last anymore. The universe is inside you. You are the universe, and those organs that you have, just think about that the other day. If you even start counting those organs, including the testes for the male, or the ovaries for female, there's like 9 organs. Like 9 holes in your body. Start counting now. Universe, 9 planets. You are the universe. You teach it like that, you live life a little bit different. You walk a little differently rather than think that you're jiggle in the corner drinking 40 and nothing else going on in the world. So you started as a universe, you yourself have 1 in a 300 million chance of even being here. What are we saying? Because when the egg is there and all the sperm trying to get on there and trying to be fertilized, 1 in 3 million chance. You are a magnificent creation. And that's what you look like when you're developing, and your brain is what's developing very early in the process. 23 days, you see the spinal cord developing, you got the brain developing, heart's there, brain and heart, there's a connection. 32 days, you start to see the appendages, you start to see the digestive system connecting, because everything is connected. You don't teach just about podiatry in the foot, or just about dentistry, or just about otolaryngology and ear, nose, and throat. You teach about how it's all connected, because that's how you developed when it was all connected. 8 months. By 8 months, you're looking pretty healthy, like you're ready to come out. But the deep thing is here, at the 9-month process of being relieved from the womb, can you see that baby coming through the canal, birth canal? At the top of the head, there's a little, like, opening on the top of the head. The fontanels. Skulls haven't formed yet. So the spirit is still there. When that child is coming out in that first few weeks, days, talking to somebody. Talking to that spirit that was there with them, guiding that soul through the internal universe to be here then in the outer universe. So when you look at that, see that head? You say trauma coming out of there, and yeah, so, but in pain, you gain. And so that development right there, I'm just saying, the child's head becomes important because the spirit is now going through the brain for the child to be connected to the universe that's out here. That's my granddaughter, Kyla. She's in my bookshelf. Didn't tell her to go over there. She chose to go over there. She's reading spiritual books, Brother Kaba book, the Dr. Stone. So the development, we can train them very early to do the right thing. Sometimes they go to the right thing, but sometimes it's the external force that causes the child to do something different. As Brother Greek just explained about the stages of development and looking at European scholars from Piaget and Erickson and all those stages may not relate to people who are of African descent or who are melanin dominant. It's because the systems are different. So psychomotor skill development, that's why Michael was talking about movement, right? That's psychomotor skill development. That's because how the brain is being formed. So the third eye relates to this pineal gland, which is the center of the head, which is the reason why that fontanel area stays open. So the pineal gland is associated with this spiritual connections. It makes sense why the child has that area kind of not as formed, but as we get older, maybe the reason why people call some people boneheads, because they don't hear right, don't see right. So as the bones form, and as you get older, they say that pineal gland become calcified. Well, let me run through this real quick, because we're at an Ancestral healing conference. I want to make this like a biochemical conference. But check this out. It can become calcified. And that means hardened, and that means it may not work as efficiently. Doesn't mean it doesn't produce the hormones, because it does, but there's many hormones that comes from that pineal gland in the center of the brain. Where you see that little blue dot, that's the pineal gland, center of the brain. Right there's the hypothalamus, below that's the pituitary gland. There are glands in your brain that submit hormones. They're like the planets that are releasing energy for the rest of the body, your internal universe to work right. Those dots right there, as Dr. King talks about, the amenta nerve tract, or the amenta, the underworld that we talk about in African history and African culture, that's the underworld that's in the brain. It's there unconsciously guiding you. As I talked about in Pigment Power, called subconscious. Because you guys are, I don't know how to dress when coming to Seattle. Like, this time coming here, it's cold and rainy and cloudy, and you got sunshine, it's hot. Good. But how many days do you get the sunshine here? Sunshine is key and critical to your life. The pineal gland is deep in the brain. How's it getting that sunshine? How's it getting that sunshine? So, if you look at a side view of the brain, right over there, you got fluid that circulates all around the brain and inside the brain. Those chemicals are very important. The cerebrospinal fluid is what transports chemicals and also gets rid of waste products. So it's flowing around the brain, in the brain. So deep in the middle of the brain, yes, you have that pineal gland. But look at this organ on the backside. That's the cerebellum. When I say the universe is upon you, the
The universe is in you. The cerebellum has 70 billion neurons. Your cortex, the one that gives you the thinking about how we're going to do something, has about 12 billion neurons. The spinal cord, about 1 billion. So 70 billion is in this back part of the brain. Now, I'm showing this because the cerebellum looks just like the tree of life in Africa. The cerebellum itself, with 70 billion neurons, must be doing more than just, they say, for fine coordinated movements. And when we look at this in terms of the tree of life, the acacia tree, if you just go into your neighborhood, play tennis in my neighborhood, looking at a tree, that looks just like the cerebellum. So the branches and extensions are what are keeping us connected to what? The outside world. Our ancestors are in us. The brain has to be the major communication site, but you also sometimes just feel things. Brain and skin are connected. The skin is your largest organ in the body. So if you're walking around and feeling nature, which we don't deal with anymore, too much technology, too many things, but nature is where you can find the answers to your problems. So the pineal gland, these calcite microcrystals in the pineal gland have piezoelectric properties. Now science is showing this. When we say electricity, that's right, the energy that we're saying that our ancestors reside in, the energy in the brain is what's absorbing that. The pineal gland becomes the source. So modern day research is showing that the pineal gland is the transducer, channeling that energy from your ancestors to you. The shape of those crystals are hexagonal. Hexagon is like a little carbon, like six carbon shaped molecule. Hexagon. What's that got to do with anything? Crystals. With the exception of the inner ear, the octoconia in the inner ear, you don't find these calcite crystals anywhere else. Inner ear is also important when you have melanin. You know you hear certain things. People can hear and feel things. Melanin's there, melanin's there, melanin. It's the conduit that keeps us connected to our ancestors. I keep looking at the plants here because of life. I keep looking at you because your life. Our ancestors are everywhere, and once we understand that we can tap into that, you change your consciousness. So, how do we now get out of this problem of not analyzing things from our own perspective? We have to look at how scientific colonialism deters us from kind of looking at our own words. So these authors of that article, they looked at 20 subjects, and they primarily from Israel and France, but they weren't African people. They weren't melanated people. The technique developed here for isolation of the crystals gave us access to large quantities of data, but they looked at that calcite, they call it brain dust. Myeloconia, they call it brain dust. They gave it after some Greeks. So why do I call it dust? Just like in the universe, why is it dark matter? So all these names they give, making you look like bad and black and dark and mean, and why can't we call it the God principle? So the microcrystals have characteristics, cubic, hexagonal, and cylindrical crystalline morphology. So people who do crystallology work, or work with crystals, that energy that you're kind of absorbing to what? Heal the body, your brain already has it. So ultrasound uses this kind of mechanism. It uses a crystal on the belly to see what you can't see, because it's looking at an entity inside the belly that you really can't see. Well, how's that crystal doing that? By ultrasound. So the probe, the active elements in the transducer are made of special ceramic crystal materials called piezoelectrics. So they're now using that to see inside the womb. So think about the same thing when you're seeing your ancestors, feeling your ancestors. So that wand for the amniocentesis or nothing, but for looking at the baby inside the woman, think about the wand in your head, seeing what you can't see. Crystals are doing that. So there's ethnic variations in, kind of like when you have problems with the spinal cord because the melan's not forming right. More common among Hispanic people and white people. Also, female babies are affected more often than male babies, although healthcare professionals and researchers don't know why spinal cord occurs. they have identified some risk factors, and one of them they don't say is melanin, which is the main risk factor. How do we know that? Because the disease is called PKU, phenylketonuria, primarily affects people of Northern European descent. It's a genetically passed on disease, but it's recessive, which means it can be altered by the diet. Not get too deep in here, all we're trying to say is that there's something that can happen in your diet that affects in your behavior. You get too much of this chemical called phenylalanine that develops, you have mental retardation. Also, light skin. Phenylalanine is important for your brain neurotransmitters. Phenylalanine is also important for your melanin. So if you have a problem with that on the front end, you have a lot of problems with your behavior. So this PKU, this disease, it's a neurological problem, inability to transform phenylalanine to melanin, so therefore you have a problem with maintaining your skin pigmentation, delayed development, behavioral, emotional, and social challenges, and it's primarily not people of African descent. Here, again, going through the back door, showing you how important melanin is in early development. Those people who drink those diet drinks, it says on there with a label, people who have this disease do not drink. It also says on the label, people pregnant don't drink, so I think nobody's gonna drink it. In the midst of that, I think people are getting high off of drinking this. Why? Because it's producing these chemicals I just told you that makes your neurotransmitters. Are you feeling me? So, in conclusion, wrote by Darkness Matters, to go deeper into this with Brother Bruce Bonham, who's been here before, Dr. Richard King, may his soul rest in peace, and Professor Ann Brown. Dr. Ann Brown, now currently retired from Medgar Evers College, but she's one of the colleagues on this book that we're trying to say it's important to go into the brain. When you look at the world and see things and patterns that we've done, in the clothes we wear, and the environments we exist in, the civilizations, we did it in patterns. The braids people are wearing are in patterns. Everything we do is organized in that way. It just comes out of us in that way with our creativity. So the way our civilizations are built in patterns. So there's something called African fractals that people have studied. Ron English talked about that. Went to Africa and saw the patterns and the monuments, and you try to wonder, how is it that our ancestors created something like that? They created it so you could see it forever. Those big, 3 gigantic monuments there in the Giza Plateau look just like those big 3 stars in Orion's belt in the sky. Did we come from there? Question you're going to have to ask yourself. Because I went there, I don't know how they did that. Had some technology that maybe they were able to use crystals and elevate on a different energy level. So melanin becomes this organizing principle that helps to do many things to keep our body efficient. For those who want to go back and look at the slide, you can look at that more in detail. But that molecule itself, melanin itself, I'm saying is the conduit that connects us to the ancestral realm. Like I said, when you close your eyes, when you see now in the after image, it's that darkness that brings the light. There's new products now called graphene that use what we just talked about. Graphene is supposed to be one of the most toughest, hardest, thickest, blackest elements that has been created, all based off of melanin. Graphene technology, they say it's put into those jabs that people got. Graphene technology, they say it's in some of the nanotechnology that makes things go quicker and faster. So the technology that's now being created is already in your body. For you to be connected to your ancestors, you have to be on a certain level to be able to see and feel entities that aren't there. So melanin is the carbon that's in it that is the connection to all elements. Carbon is everywhere. So carbon is the 6th element on the periodic chart. It has 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons. In melanin, there are 4 elements, and 3 of them are gas. The blackness of the carbon is the base of melanin and extending to the metaphysical world. It's the gas part coming off the molecules that's creating the connection. Because gas you can't see. It's not the element of nitrogen. It's not the element of the carbon. It's the gases that are coming off that keeps us connected to this ancestral realm. So the hexagonal shape of the carbon is like the atomic black hole to absorb light. That's all the ancestors are, light. We're light beings. We're the vehicles. We do the wrong things with the vehicle. So not allow the vehicle to tap into the higher states of consciousness. So we call melanin complex biopolymer because it has the carbon and all these elements, but it is everywhere. It's spirit. It's the soul you've been looking for.
Wow.
So we just talked about it with our culture. We just had the movement going on in our preliminary presentation here. Hip-hop music, rap music. We created it. The whole world is doing this now.
Right.
Whatever's happening going on in the Gaza Strip and happening to the Palestinians, those Palestinians are rapping.
Right.
Hip-hop, our culture was impacting them to do it on a fight oppression, but we now been using it. It's been used against us. Music is a weapon. They're now using it against us because you hear the music people, the kids listen to the trap music, they're trapped.
Right.
Dance, moves, and rhythm. Y'all know this is, we just got a different way of moving. Our flow is just there.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
Connected to a higher consciousness. Drumming and beats. That's why they took it away during the slave process. Drum was our communication system. The drum is how the music and the sound waves were able to entrain us to do something. Now again, music is a weapon being used against us. But we created the sound to feel this. Sports, moves, basketball, football, y'all know everything we do. We change the game. Gymnastics is going on right now. Olympics coming up. I heard we got the system now doing some figure skating, speed skating. Just started now. So you know you're not inferior. They know you're not inferior. That's why things are constructed to not allow you to compete. So in conclusion, if you want to get any more information, that's what you can do to find me. I don't want to go too long as we conclude our program, but the universe is in you. That's the main thing. The universe is connected, and where are our ancestors? In the universe. What are they doing? Guiding us. Can't fight that. We got to delve into that, dive into that, but we can't be scared of the science to do that. All right? That's what I got to say. Thank you for your attention.
Oh, y'all enjoying this or what? I mean, I'm very excited. Y'all enjoying this? Well, we are excited. We are going to be able to go downstairs. We are done up here today, and we're going to go downstairs.